going into pick map for game number 3, though. RNG on the blue side this time. You can see the Tarp Kench banned away. Top Esports banning the Thresh. So perhaps that Senna will be denied this time around.
Oh, shocked to see that. Now, Udyr and Hecarim did make it through, so you can just trade these champions, but with a lot of support bans being taken away, Rel starts to climb back up in Prio, but because Nautilus and Leona also exist, I don't think that there's that much pressure. I still feel like this is either going to be a Hecarim or an Udyr priority. Yep, shocker.
Yeah, so the Hecarim first pick, very, very standard. With the Kai'Sa ban, though, maybe this is a Tristana angle, right? Maybe you can go for the Tristana Rel or something, have that dominant bot lane where you're not up against the Kai'Sa this time. You don't have the same issues that they had previously. In fact, going with the Udyr instead.
Yeah, keeping the support pick a secret until they can figure out exactly what they're going up against. One of Gala's most played champions, of course, is Lazaya, now that his Kai'Sa is taken away, so we immediately see him pivot towards that. And then the Rel. So you have already a lot of setup and a lot of CC in that bot lane between those two champions, and now a flex coming in for Top Esports. Reminder that their first loss finally came on this champion collectively against Edward Gaming. No, please go, Gragas. I really like the Gragas guys, please.
Yeah, I think also it's a really, really good pick into Rel as the support. And important, just random tidbit here. Top Esports, everyone on this team has played Gragas this split except for JackeyLove. So maybe by some twist of fate, JackeyLove plays the Gragas here. I don't necessarily expect that, though. I think that'll be a pick for drop.
Yeah, and this is what I really like. I like the flexibility that Top Esports already have on red side. Top Esports have a significantly higher win rate on red side than they do blue side because of how much they love to use counter pick to create winning matchups. And so now moving into secondary ban phase, I'm glad that they're banning out more of Xiaohu's top champions. I would expect top lane to be the priority that they ban out here. They could blind pick the Orianna if that's not banned by RNG, and then make sure that 369 gets the favorable matchup topside, or they could even blind the Gnar themselves if they pinch the necessary champions topside.
And you can see some of these really impactful champions from the previous games being banned away, with the Lucian that was so good in game number 1, the Silas being taken off the board that we actually saw RNG using as opposed to Top Esports, but still can be an answer to a lot of these powerful picks. With the Orianna taken away, so that safe blind pick for the mid lane cannot just be locked in. Now RNG have to finish this one out with a final ban.
It feels like they're trying to force Cryan onto either his Azir or his Victor. And so I'm curious what matchup Knight feels like he has to deal with those champions. I was hoping that RNG would let the Rise through, but okay, it's going to be another Akali. So Knight feeling that confident that he knows what Cryan's available champion pool is, that he can go for the blind Akali.
I just love that this has been blind both times as well. This is just like a look, I don't care. I'm locking this in. You can pick whatever you like. I'm just going to style on you. There is serious confidence coming out from Knight. Now RNG to lock in their solo lanes. And the Jace, it's been such a powerful pick this split. I said I wanted to see Lucian and Jace from Xiaohu, and that's what we're going to be seeing locked in.
And this is kind of where my head scratches a little bit. You know, obviously a power confidence move from Knight. You know, he could have taken the Orianna here, and then you could have banned the Jace, and that made your Gnar that much more powerful. By Jace being taken by RNG and him slipping through the ban phase, now the Gnar becomes that much more terrifying to try to play if 369 wants to have another great performance. And I love this from Crying. Galio completely disrupts Akali. It's really hard for her to get anything done in the lane phase because he's so obnoxious with the zone control around it. So Crying's like, it's fine, I will sit back, I will play for team here. They have a great delivery system with Hecarim and Galio. I love how their composition's working together. And then making sure that Xiaohu's on that power pick like that Jace. I really prefer RNG's draft this time around than just the absolute car wreck that they drafted in game number 2.
Yeah, and this composition from Top Esports feels a little reminiscent from game number 1, right? Where you've got the Sion playing very much on the weak side in the top lane, where you've got Wei and Cryan, who are definitely going to move up towards that top side and try and make those dives happen. So the question for me is, what can Knight do? What can JackeyLove do on the opposite side of the map while all of the shenanigans go on in the top lane?
Sorry, I was unsure if we were going into a hype video.
Oh, it always brings up the 5-man comp before we do that. So
that's my fault. It's my fault. Sorry, guys. Yeah.
This is our third game in 4 years, so we'll let the like awkwardness slide a little bit, I think.
You always have these weird timers where you're like, okay, hype video go now, and then if it doesn't, you sit and cast your chick in silence. You're like, and speak. But anyway, bullshit hype narrative. It's actually hype. We don't have to fake it, guys. It's the elimination match, and whoever wins this goes to match point.
You're damn right. It's RNG. It's Top Esports. Knight bringing out the Akali again. Galio for Crown to try and disrupt, to try and play for the team as we head into game number 3. We're on to Summoner's Rift again, and I've got to keep my eyes on Gala. In game number 1, he was one of the absolute hard carries for RNG. He stepped up so massively on the Kai'Sa. And now game number 3 goes for this Xayah. It's a pick that he has played. He's fallen back on when Kai'Sa's unavailable to him, all split long, and it has been a highlight for him. But it's not the same level of hyper carry that you expect out of something like a Kai'Sa that can really massively 1v1 people in the fight. So we've got to look towards him, and with him being one of the big carries for the team.
Yeah, it will give JackieLove a bit more space. Now, while Xayah does have great line and through damage with her Q, you know, it's not like you have a Kai'Sa ultimate that can just 1v1 you onto the backside. That said, Gala has gotten the better of JackieLove multiple times throughout this series in the lane phase. JackieLove has required a lot of assistance to kind of even it out, so we'll see if it goes better for him this time around, having something like the Gragas into the Rel matchup. But already taking a look at the jungle starts, it's Karsa starting top side map, probably looking for a full clear. I would expect Red, Krugs, Raptors into bot side, and Wei to do the same thing opposite map, but that does mean that JackieLove and Joe get first access onto the minion wave and should have the advantage going into level 2.
Yeah, and you can see just by pathing alone, what we were talking about before with very much a weak side for Top Esports. Wei will play towards that top lane. He's pathing, so he'll finish up at the top scuttle, and the opposite for Karsa. So it's going to be down to Gala and Ming on the bottom side to play safe in that situation, and for 369 to do the same on the opposite side of the map. But as we get towards the mid game then, how do you expect the pace of this game to go forward? Because obviously both Hecarim and Udyr are champions that are perfectly able to get early dragons and things. Top Esports with the stronger bot side in quotation marks, but not a team that often plays towards dragon.
I think the initial early mid, so kind of like level 6 to level 8, is actually favored towards RNG's composition. I think Top Esports comp kind of starts to take over, you know, at around level 9 and kind of the first item and a half breakpoints. Hecarim's just so strong. That said, Udyr in the early game, like pre-level 6, by himself is just ridiculous because of the amount of damage that Phoenix Stance will do, even though he's been kind of down-tuned a little bit on the recent patches. So it's kind of like, unfortunately, the answer to the question is it depends on who's in the fight in reality. But if it's a big 5v5 over something like a dragon or kind of the first initial dragons, unless RNG fall monstrously behind, I do kind of favor them a little bit more, whereas I expect Top Esports' composition to start to take over kind of second to third dragon, where they get a bit more teeth, unless it's, you know, Udyr plus an Akali or Udyr plus a bot lane.
All right, so Top Esports looking to play it a little bit slower in this one as Karsa moves to grab his first Scuttle Crab. You can see both junglers on opposite sides of the map, happy to just handshake this one and accept the lot that they've been given in this early game. And I kind of want to take a moment here, just to remind everyone of what's at stake, because Orange... Oh, hang on. I don't have time. Every time I try to set up narrative, Wei goes for a gank. It's a taunt onto Knight. Does do a nice little jump back, though, mid-taunt, so able to survive this one. And I want to reset the stakes here that this is an elimination match. This is RNG, who were the first seed coming into this playoffs. A redemption story for them, who've been struggling for the last couple of years. But Xiaohu's been there. Ming has been there this entire time. These veterans are no strangers to high-pressure situations. Top Esports, very much the new kids on the block in this match.
Yeah, and now our eyes are really on Xiaohu, those crown jewels that you were talking about, those veterans to be the difference maker. And I really wanted to point out Xiaohu's incredible wave control here. You know, timed it perfectly when the junglers were going to be on their, you know, opposite sides. That Krug camp was going to be the next one that spawned, and that's where everyone was going to be pathing. You know, Xiaohu makes sure that the wave got the bounce off the tower, is now pushing back into him when he's playing weak side and his jungler is on Krug camp. Now, JackieLove and Zhuo have fallen for this so many times. Surely they do not die here.
Oh, I believe that it's very
Please.
possible that they do. JackeyLove has the jump. Can he get away with it this time? Looks like he can. They've done it, Frostguard. They've pulled it off. They pressed W.
God bless. That said, this is a reoccurring problem that we really need to pay attention to with top esports. That is the third time that they have been overextended and they're going to die anyway.
Joel's going to die on this one, but JackeyLove might be able to turn it around. The TPs are coming through as JackeyLove jumps in, flashes away towards Knight, but he's going to be taunted by Cryan and finished off. Can Knight do anything here? Gets one for himself, but the knockup from Cryan, disengaged galore from the side of RNG, and now Waves Away is arriving. Top esports got to get out of dodge.
Okay, so Knight saves the day. He's going to bail out his bot lane again because at least top esports got something by picking up a kill on that Akali, but I'm going to say it again. This cannot keep happening. You know when the enemy jungler is going to be on the side of the map. You can't be that overextended. You cannot trust your Tristana there. It is just... It's a clincher. It's frustrating.
Yeah, it's kind of painful to watch if you're a fan of top esports, because the thing is, there's just pure confidence there, right? Top esports in those situations 100% believe that they will win the side of the matchup even when they're at a disadvantage, right? But unfortunately, against teams like RNG that have similar star power on the roster, you can't just skill check it the same way. You can't get away with the plays in the same way. And once again, top esports are punished for it.
I'm just really curious what's happening in the comms for top esports because it's clear that they're losing track of where the jungler is or not giving that respect. Whatever it is, I think that needs to be ironed out. Now, I will say that this does give them tempo advantage that Karsa just made use of getting that early dragon. You know, you had Hecarim extend for the kill. It then comes down into double teleport into dragon. And now maybe a solo kill.
For a solo kill on Sion of all picks. That's the weak side. He's the weak side top lane. This isn't meant to be how the matchup works.
Okay, there's a bit of bananas happening. You can see it on Xiaohu's face. He's like, well, I messed up. Oh, well.
Look, he's a mid laner, guys, okay? He's a mid laner. Just forget everything we've said previously. Forget how well he's done on split. He's a mid laner. That's the excuse.
I'm sure chat's just spamming just straight nines. Okay, what went wrong here? He must...
Well, he just gets
he has
the
to
knock-up,
blow
right?
his E. Okay, so he eats the devastating smash, and then he's in cannon form and CC'd. Yeah, and 369 just paths really well that the knockback means nothing. So that was Xiaohu just had to go into cannon form because he wanted mana, and then also just not respecting the devastating, what is it, smash, blow?
I think it's devastating blow, but I'm not 100% sure now you actually ask it. Because it's one of those abilities that I never have to say the name of.
Well, now he's
and I'm
pretty
not gonna
screwed.
lie, I don't have the greatest memory. But Knight gonna be able to shove out mid lane here. Sorry, go on.
No, I was just gonna say there's a freeze on Xiaohu, and Knight has left lane. Now he is cheating towards bot side, and top esports have done a phenomenal job getting multiple control wards on there to give like a little landing strip, if you will, for this Akali to just kind of blitz towards the bottom lane and exert so much pressure for JackeyLove and Joel. But it's also exerting pressure on Xiaohu, which is why RNG are turning to this Herald. Good wave management from 369 to punish Xiaohu not only in the 1v1 kill, but also in the fact that he doesn't have flash, and really good vision from Knight to be like, as soon as I'm not in lane, I just need to disappear, and now I'm controlling multiple lanes at once, and it's allowing my my laners to get whatever they want. So good response from both teams. I like that RNG took the Herald. They basically had to at this point, but much better position for top.
Oh, the plate not quite grabbed for JackeyLove, but it was a close one. And I want to revisit what's happening in the mid lane here, because we have two mid laners that actually don't particularly want to fight in the 1v1. They're about even on CS, well, they've each got a kill as well. But it's less about the actual mid lane matchup here and much more about what they can do in the side lanes. And it feels like with Karsa here behind the tower, if Knight can leave that mid lane, maybe we could see a dive happen on the bottom side, but looks like they're not going to commit to anything for now, at very least.
It's a little bit scary to dive Xiaohu, Xayah, and Rel at this point, obviously because of the CC that they have on their ultimates, and because there's not available TPs. I do want to very quickly mention, again, all of these control wards that top esports have invested into putting into this side of the jungle to, again, create a pathway for Knight to roam, but to also keep RNG guessing that if they ever lose vision on this Akali, they have to just respect that she could be heading bot lane and how that feeds over into Jackie Love and Joel to alleviate pressure onto their lane phase. But at this point, we're pretty much waiting for these key teleports to come back up and for probably a skirmish in the river over the dragon spawning in 125.
Yeah, you can expect that Top Esports would like to stack the Drakes this game, especially since the soul is going to be either Mountain or Infernal. Definitely very valuable souls to go for. And if it ends up being Infernal Soul, well, you've got an Akali. That feels real good. And Tristana as well. Just the ability to one-shot people and get the reset, get out of the fight again, can be absolutely huge for Top Esports. That'll be up in a minute's time. And Karsa is on the top side of the map right now. And he might be looking to dive. Xiaohu is real squishy. The wave is coming in. Him and 369 should have a free kill on their hands because there's no flash available for Xiaohu either. Karsa tanking up the tower. 369 can walk in and easily finish this one off. No, he can't. Oh my god, they don't have the damage. Xiaohu just walks away from it. It's completely botched.
Oh, that's a disaster. Okay, so what was really interesting there is that Knight was actually looking to roam up, and he was trying to bait Cryan into hard engage on him when they were kind of skirmishing over that brush, but Cryan wasn't pushing it. And Karsa was kind of standing behind Knight waiting, and so Karsa didn't continue. He left his jungle path, looked mid, saw that the gank wasn't going to happen, and then saw that a slow push and crash was being set up by 369 and walked topside. And because the gank didn't work in either mid or top lane, this is now a huge swing back for RNG, who use the Herald bot, who are going to push down this tower, who now have a better position on the dragon. And this is like a perfect example of Karsa sacrifices so much to set up for his laners on Top Esports, and it's fine because his laners are usually talented enough that they can force those ganks and make them work. But when they don't, you lose so much tempo, and that's what happened to top right now. And they're trying to skirmish to get it back, but if RNG just disengage from them, reset, they can just play the slow, incremental game over Top Esports.
It seems to be the name of it for RNG, just play the intelligent game. But in fact, they're going to opt into the fight instead. Weighs the target. Triple taunt from Cryan, though. He's actually doing a lot of damage onto Karsa. The shield comes out at the last second. Knight now alone in the river. Backing away from this one. And RNG, actually, importantly, going to force Karsa back, potentially open up a Drake for themselves.
Yeah, we'll check on what happens with resets. I think the big thing is that there was still a teleport available for Cryan, and while the Onslaught of Shadows was used, there still is a Galio ultimate, and the TPs from the top laners aren't available just yet. Of course, 369 sitting on the Ghost because he is using the Unsealed Spellbook, but otherwise, this is the type of game already that looks good for an RNG. So going back to this, you know, if this had worked out, maybe it's a different story. But this was on top of a bait in an attempted mid lane gank. You know, Knight was playing around with Cryan, trying to get this Galio to engage on him with Karsa waiting in the wings. Karsa then goes for the dive top. Really unfortunate calculations with the pots there that allow Xiaohu to just survive. But every time your jungler shows on information, shows on a wave, it gives Wei the opportunity to make a cross-map play. And that's all RNG need to do. They just need to allow Top Esports to kind of run into them, absorb that pressure, and then just do something across map from them. Continuously play the map, play the team fights, and not let Top Esports get their skirmishes.
Feels like the way. And also, when you look at the draft, it's such a great draft at kind of ruining those skirmishes as well, right? When you've got things like this Galio, things like this Hecarim, it's very difficult to actually catch someone out and force an advantage off the back of that because the amount of CC that is there. Like when you've got a Galio and a Rel in the middle of a fight, even if it's a 3v3 or something, they could just buy a ton of time with that CC for the rest of RNG to arrive and just play it super slow.
There's just no way with this type of draft that RNG don't get at least 2 to 3 team fights this game. And that's exactly where they want to be to try to exploit Top Esports. Now that said, Top Esports also have a great composition to fight front to back. You know, outside of really the Akali pick, they've got like their 2 beefy boys, they've got a long-range Tristana, they have good disengage or engage from Dwo, how he ever wants to use this cask, and the Akali is kind of like the one wildcard factor there. It's just the confidence that you have in RNG to execute on that game plan, and just going into the game and saying, we need to slow things down, we just need to play around around the Dragon timers, play for that 30 to 40 minute mark, and then theoretically we should win. Whereas top esports need to either try to break that or get a big enough lead that they can just slap RNG with their wallets. And when it does get to that, 15 to 20 minute mark, that they have the gold lead and the item lead.
That's going to be what they're trying to get to, is just have that advantage by the time we get to that 20-minute mark. But Herald has been started, and Karsa, he can smell it from a mile off. He just runs in towards the scene. But here we go. The Devastating Slime doesn't hit. Cryan just walks away from it. Wei gets the Herald, and the RNG disengage comes through once again. They just run. They don't need to fight this one. They don't need to contest top esports, especially when they got the Herald and got out.
And top esports pulled Knight's teleport. Knight was down by himself in that bottom lane. He could have gotten, another free wave behind that tower, potentially even push down the tower. He is going to fortunately walk up and pick up the wave there, but maybe top esports can exploit their tempo advantage as RNG are getting resets to hard force this top tower down, but I don't think so, as they want to take their own recalls. And this is now top esports being like, fight, and RNG just recognizing that the best thing they can do against top is just walk away from them. Just deny them the ability to fight.
And this is, as a play-by-play especially, this is like my favorite style of League of Legends against my least favorite style of League of Legends. You've got one team that just wants to fight. This is why I love top esports, right? Because they just fight all the time. And RNG are just opting out and saying, no, we will not fight you. We're just going to chill in the early game, and it's fine. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the worst kind of League of Legends. We don't want to chill. We want to scrap. But Gala does have a Gale Force, though, so we are getting towards the point where we can see RNG actually contesting. Xiaohu when he gets to 2 items. Gala when he gets to 2 items as well. You got a Galio with Proto Belt. Like, he's about as good as he's going to get. Let's be honest. It's Galio. He just needs the CC. But once we get a couple more items on these carries from Xiaohu, from Gala, that's when RNG can actually start opting into these plays.
So now there's kind of 2 questions that I have for top esports. It's, with their hard engage, can they force their fight that they so clearly want, which they are setting up? You can see Sion has a really long pathway that he can use his ultimate and maybe get a big flank on this Herald push, as he's going to do right now. Here we go. And is this going to be successful?
Is the...
Oh, no.
He threads the needle. 369. It's clean as he dodges everyone. RNG, now the disengage. Once again, we talked about it time and time again, but that route is gorgeous. It's not enough, but it was nice.
Oh, that was so beautiful from RNG, and split the wickets there for 369, as he called it, but the fact that Cryan pulled off of his team, zoned away Knight as he was looking for the flank, and I think 369 top esports are just kind of getting frustrated. They're like, it's okay, we still have Prio over mid to get first access into the Dragon. RNG's composition doesn't necessarily have the best way to brute force you off of objectives. They don't have that many skill shots to face check into a blind space. So this is at least top esports getting kind of the second Dragon, but they're trading this for, Xiaohu on a tower and getting multiple waves.
So one conversation that I think we do need to bring up here is it's going to be a Mountain Drake that goes the way of top esports here. And with Mountain Soul in play, and when you look at the damage profile across RNG right here, there's not a lot of magic damage. If top esports can stack a few Mountain Drakes, get Thornmails on just every champion across the game, you can see Jackie Love already has Ninja Tabbies. Late game looks pretty good for top esports. Even, like, compositions aside, just on pure damage type and the fact that Thornmail exists as an item, looks pretty good for top esports.
I'm in total agreement with you, which is why, I don't want to sound the emergency bell, like, already, and it probably feels like I'm just, praising RNG when top esports, like, definitely aren't out of this game, but it's simply that little voice in the back of your head that's telling you, can top esports, with a composition that is still incredibly active, with a Dragon that will work really well to embolden their composition if it does come to 5v5, execute on it. And that's like my biggest concern. But yeah, absolutely. Like, top esports shouldn't be sweating at all here.
Here's the thing. Oh, hang on. We've got a bit of a 1v1, but it's a 2v1. Wei was waiting in the wings. It was all a bait. His Knight just has to perfect execute out. He'll be feared, but flashes before it goes through. So he'll be able to survive on that one. And you know what, Fruskarin? You got a little voice in the back of your head saying, can top esports execute on that one? I got a big voice at the front of my head screaming, Mojo, baby! Top esports can definitely execute. Knight's on a Carly. Jackie Love is going to show up on the Tristana. I believe in the late game.
And this Akali is kind of the other question that I had of top esports before we got distracted by that mid-play flank from Sion. You know, was it 369 who could find a successful engage to force RNG to fight top esports when they're so thirsty for it? And then B, how do people deal with Knight on a side lane with this Akali? You can see that if he's left to his own devices, that he does have kill pressure on Xiaohu. It's of course going to be a skill matchup for a lot of these lane assignments for the Akali, but we know that Knight can do it, and he's going to have the damage there. So, you know, this is going to be an issue that, yeah, there's speed in Hecarim and Galio ultimate to deny it, but our eyes do have to stay on Knight and how much he can change the course of this game by having so much pressure in these side lanes. Oh no.
That's suboptimal ulti there from 369. We'll move on. We won't hover on that one.
We're going to call it a false start.
Yeah. I want to quickly mention something you talked about there, is that when we talk about Knight and how exceptional he is as a mid laner, I think a lot of international fans were disappointed by what they saw from Knight at the World Championship, because they're expecting him to be like this giga teamfight Orianna, right? Which is the kind of international expectation of what a good mid laner is. But actually, Knight's biggest strength is the laning phase. And when you get into 1-3-1 scenarios in that 1v1, that is Knight's comfort zone. That's where he is truly exceptional as a player. So I think with this kind of comp and with this kind of pick, it actually leans into the strengths of not just top esports, but Knight as a player specifically.
And it also gives him a champion that he can express his skill on to be the difference maker for his team. I know people get really tired of hearing that word, and I apologize, but the fact of the matter is that's what I want. You know, Knight is a great Orianna, but the skill expression on that champion is really difficult. Even if you had a 5-man shockwave, that's kind of it. That's kind of like your Orianna cap, whereas on an Akali, you can do so much more. And frankly, in at least playoffs, Knight just hasn't had the same impact that you expect someone of his name to have. And on a champion like Akali, I'm like, okay, yes, give it to me. You know, show me all of the crazy mechanical outplays. Be such an obnoxious side laner that you force RNG to spend multiple resources trying to deal with you. And then hopefully the rest of your team is set up in a position not to teleport down and try to skirmish with you, but at least get something else on the map.
See if they're going to be able to find those opportunities to force something on the map, to find those advantages in the 1-3-1. And speaking of the 1-3-1, you can see that is the setup on the map for both teams right now, and it's going to be crying that matches Knight wherever he goes. Having that magic damage shield will certainly help in the 1v1, at least to subdue Knight and stop him being able to brute force anything. But Wei is sneaking behind, and Knight don't know about it just yet. He could be in trouble here. A TP being channeled as well. Twilight Shroud going to be used as Knight stuck in this one. CC'd up. The perfect execution. No way can he get away with this one. Flash forward from Xiaohu to finish the kill. That was too damn close to Knight getting away.
And frankly, that's better macro and objective setup from RNG that leads to Knight being killed there. It's 30 seconds before the mountain is going to spawn. You had RNG who got priority over the mid lane, then forced it forward, moved into river, were laying down their triangle vision, and saw that Knight was overextended bot side and got a very easy wraparound on him for this Drake. This is now your Akali, 15 seconds on, so she's going to spawn 7 seconds after the Drake. Does have teleport, but our top esports going to try to force that with 369 on a very deep flank, and Jackie Love nowhere near the fight to start.
You better believe they're going to force it, Prosker, and this is what top esports do. 369 runs on in. They're playing for time, though. They're waiting for Knight to get into the fray. He's TP'd in. He's in the back of the pit now. 369 plays up towards the top side. Keep your eyes on Jackie Love and Knight. They've got to pop off if top esports want to stack these Drakes. This would be sole point if top esports can get this smite on through. And Karsa has been the king of thieves, the king of the smites. In goes the Galio. Karsa forced out of the pit. Ming taking a bit of damage as Cran is on the backline and finishes Karsa off. Gala's in trouble, but Knight is stuck in the back of the pit. RNG win everything in the fight. Jackie Love off to the backside. 1v1 by Wei. In goes Knight. 1v4 and just gets swatted like a fly. Jackie Love gets one. Can he turn this into the miracle play? Can he get the resets? Crying says no, but he's jumped away from somehow. Jackie Love survives that one, but Gala gets the double.
I cannot wait till we have a replay of that team fight, because I'm fairly certain that that was a big difference between Cryan's zone control and him as a tank player versus 369's zone control and him as a tank player. It felt like 369 wasn't defending JackeyLove for most of that fight, that he actually tried to follow up on the dive from Knight. So my eyes are on Knight right now. Ming flashes in, it's followed up by the Galio ultimate, and Knight immediately goes onto the back line. It's into the stopwatch. Look at 369. He's like, okay, am I assisting into this back line? Okay, JackeyLove seems fine. No, now I'm gonna walk over here. I'm not gonna hit anyone. I'm drawing back. Like, he's just spending so much time walking back and forth. He finally finds a nice angle that lines people up into a choke point where JackeyLove's able to do something, but like Cryan immediately gets onto the back line, zones JackeyLove away. It's just, it feels like the story time and time again is JackeyLove doesn't get to hit anyone. He's like on one of the longest range 80 carries. He's level 14. You have plenty of levels to give Tristana that extra range, and he never gets to do anything.
And once again, RNG are the ones that are just brute forcing early Barons in this series. Dro just warded the wrong side of the wall, but here we go. A TP being channeled. JackeyLove is nearby. Smited by Wei in with the fight. JackeyLove jumps into the middle of everyone and just gets blown up. The CC chain is disgusting. And now Shahu's in trouble. Knight, you have to keep your eyes on him. He's in the Twilight Shadow. Perfect execution, but taken down. Gala still surviving in the backline. Dwo, the last man standing for top esports, as Gala is able to survive the Scion. It's an easy ace for RNG.
It's an easy ace and probably an easy game for RNG. 12-5, closing on an 8k gold advantage in their favor. Surely when this tower goes down, they have figured out the secret formula to defeating top esports, and it's walking away from them. It's waiting until your composition is ready for those fights, when you have the items, when you have the perfect setup, and beating them on the map and not in those early skirmishes. And Knight tried. He tried his hardest to force these skirmishes. 369 was finding solo kills on the top side. The lane phase can never be disputed of how strong top esports are, but they cannot win lane a win game. It is just not in the cards. And this is a big yikes.
Yeah. JackeyLove and Vayne spotting on champions that aren't Vayne. Name a more iconic duo, I think. He just jumps in and gets blown up. And I think beyond that point, the fight was already over, let's be honest.
That was not 369's fault. That was not the tank line's fault. That was 100% JackeyLove's fault.
Look, JackeyLove has that mojo. We talked about the JackeyLove factor at the start of today. He
Munch,
will
anytime I int in a game, I'm going to be like, it's just my mojo.
Look, trust me. Like, people in solo queue might not understand, but that's okay. They don't need to understand. The only person that needs to understand is top esports and Austin Powers, okay? And so, other than that, you're good. Just int your face off.
Now, checking in on map state, it is going to be the reset from 369. He could look for an engage here, as well as Joa trying to get a nice flank, looking for a cask. Now, you really want him to find Gala as Mario Kart goes in and goes sideways.
That was very sad, wasn't it? 369's charging, he's like, never mind, I'm going to walk away. It was a little bit deflated as he waddles away from the play. And I mean, this is just perfect scenario for RNG. Just stay grouped up, have way off in the mid lane, just using the Baron to try and pressure onto these towers. Gala can just free hit onto the tower. 369 has no ult, so there's no hard engage here. For the side of top esports, RNG just buy themselves as much space as they need as they take one inhib. They can maybe look towards a second as well. Also trying to engage here as Wei just gets the fear onto 3. It's just to try and keep himself safe. They're just trying to clear the waves. Dive might be about to happen here from RNG. They may have overstepped. Explosive cast comes in. Wei is low. The bomb ticking away, but he survives somehow. Dwo over the wall, finished off. The Gale Force in as Cryan is on the back line as well. RNG going so deep for this one, but Gala's just free firing this entire time. Knight trying to escape with his life, as is JackeyLove. The carry survive, but Cryan with the double taunt. It's just too beautiful here from RNG as they take this game by storm.
And it's surely going to be at least another inhib here. The confidence of RNG to siege the base like this. It is just Knight on the defense. Very long death timers, and it looks like RNG will push for the win.
They're going to try and end the game, but they're up against the golden left hand. What can he do? He's got the mark onto Ming, but he's not going to follow up for now. Just clears the way, but he holds on to the game. RNG, as they have all game, respect them and back away.
This is actually pretty important, though, because the dragon's about to spawn as we go into this replay, and the death timers are low for Scion, and they have double teleport on Knight and Scion, so there's a potential that we come out of this, and if RNG try to hard force a fight on this dragon to pick it up, and the double TP came from top esports, that you could actually swing this game back with long death timers. Taking another look at this one, okay, it looks like top esports actually just waved the white flag and gave the dragon away as we see Gala soloing it. Taking another look at this one, you know, at this point, you just don't have the damage and you don't have the tank stats to survive to the front to back team fight. I call it slapping you with your wallet, and that's what RNG are doing. They're backhanding top esports with a massive gold lead every single time.
Yeah, and it feels like RNG are doing such a good job of playing around Gala in the fights as well, right? Gala's on this side, he can be so damn safe. And RNG do such a good job of healing for him, but top esports, they know it's dire straits right now, and they are looking to make a magical play happen. Wei is going to be the one that base checks in. The damage isn't quite there to finish him off, though. Cryan is pretty tanky as well. Jackie Love just can't finish the damage. He just can't finish any of these kills. And now he's going to be the one going down instead. Another double for Gala. And Knight and 369 left shaking their heads, wondering what happened. Knight goes in. Gala survives with the Feather Storm. Joe and 369, they haven't got what it takes to finish this one off. And now 369 against an 80 carry. He's tanky, but how tanky as Gala tries to chase for more. He got himself a triple kill in this fight, but there are supers on the Nexus right now. All RNG need to do is stop recalls happening.
Yeah, Gala isn't chasing 369. He's actually chasing this Nexus tower, and 369 suddenly realizes that he wasn't the target all along.
He knows the game is over. He wants the 1v1. It's not going to happen, unfortunately for him, as his ult came back up, so he just slams into the wall to keep himself alive. Game number 3 goes the way of RNG in a very convincing team fight fashion.
And now the question is, what will top esports do about it? Because RNG have figured out the key to victory. Top esports saw their glimmer of hope, that it was about the skirmish, it was about breaking RNG's 5v5 up, making crazy snowball plays, brute forcing victories. And when RNG just decide that that's not the game that they want to play, when they have disengaged tools, when they're able to have the patience and the communication as a team to just walk away from top esports, they beat themselves. They run out of steam and they collapse and they fall over. And it feels like it's going to be a very inevitable 3-1 at this rate, because I don't see RNG kind of losing that bone that they've found of top esports.
I feel like we're going to see a change up, though, for game number 4 from top esports. As I'd anticipate that we swap sides again. We end up, because we've got 100% win rate on blue side so far in this series. I'd expect top esports